here we are, another fantasy year. Couldn't even make it to week 4 without seeing Christian McCaffrey showing up on the injury report. And I know Christian made light of it last week, saying that, man, every time I go take a piss, I end up on the injury report. But that is not the case here heading into this week 4 game for the Carolina Panthers, because Christian McCaffrey actually has a legitimate thigh injury that has kept him out of practice both on Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. So that brings the question, will Christian McCaffrey play? Early signs say yes, but if you miss Thursday practices, that is always concerning because that's usually when teams really start ramping up to play. The next option is Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba Hubbard is a guy that played last year. We got to see Chuba Hubbard, former running back of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And he wasn't that great. I mean, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't that great. And I think the big thing that people were hoping for is that he could have assimilated to what Christian McCaffrey's role was for the Carolina Panthers. It's just not the case. It wasn't there. With Christian McCaffrey showing up on the injury report, does that concern you for the rest of the year, Andrew Hagenbaugh?
I mean, it depends on how major or minor this injury really is. It obviously just showed up within the last day or so. So I mean,
It's a soft
it,
tissue injury. That's
yeah.
what I think is the concern.
And me and you have discussed this long time before. That soft tissue injuries are very difficult to come back from because they can linger and they can hurt you for a long period of time. I mean, we've seen players re-aggravate soft tissue injuries and stay out. So there is a level of concern to have, especially too because it is Christian McCaffrey, who the last 2 to 3 years has missed significant amounts of time. I don't think Chuba Hubbard is a guy like obviously he's going to be a guy that's going to get picked up a lot. I would say more or less for deeper leagues, he should be utilized in starting roles or in flex roles and stuff like that because like you said, he's been very average. He's not been great. He's not been bad. He's just in the middle. He's just average.
Yeah, to kind of give people a little bit of idea. So he did have multiple games where he was over double digits, which is something that you're happy with a waiver wire pickup. And
Mm-hmm.
again, you're talking about deeper leagues. Okay, if I told you someone he picked up off waivers got you 13 points, it could be a lot worse. In week 5 against the Eagles, he had 24 carries and was able to turn that into 13.4 fantasy points. A lot of carries, average 4.2 yards per carry, 101 yards, and had a couple receptions in that game. You would have liked to see more output, but okay, we could live with it. The next big game you see from him, week 8 against the Atlanta Falcons, had 24 attempts again. That one was a less productive day. He only averaged 3.4 yards per carry, did put up 13.1, and that was elevated by him landing in the end zone. He had 5 total touchdowns last year. To go back to your point as far as like which league should you be utilizing him in, if you're in a 14-team, 16-team league, and you had some injuries at the running back position, absolutely start him. I think that makes a lot of sense because you're probably not going to find a lot better on your waiver wire. I would say that he is probably going to be let's say Christian McCaffrey's ruled out tomorrow. He's probably going to be a borderline running back too. And that's very emphasis, underline, bullet point on the borderline. I just don't see running back 1 upside from Chuba Hubbard. I think that's probably where the expectations have to be measured. If he gets you double-digit points, that's just something that you should kind of like lay your head down at night and say, okay, I made the smart call. I made the wise call. He's probably not going to be a starter in a 10-team league, anything less than that, an 8-team league. 12-team, I would say he's a flex play. That's probably where I would say. Flex play, low ceiling, high floor, flex for week 4 if he is in fact the starter. In terms of should you have Chuba Hubbard rostered anyway, I think is the next question, an important question to ask, because Christian McCaffrey, this thigh, again, could be nothing. He could play week 4, and that's fine if he plays week 4. But the question is, what's the next injury? What's the next time he goes to take a piss break and ends up on the injury report and you have Chuba Hubbard on waivers? Do you let him just sit there on waivers, or do you just make sure he's on your roster right away? Do you think that Christian McCaffrey needs the Chuba Hubbard handcuff the rest of the season?
Again, I think it depends on the kind of league you're in. If you're in a 12 plus man league, I don't see it would hurt too much to hold on to a guy like Chuba Hubbard because you are used to Christian McCaffrey going down and either missing the rest of a game or missing half a season or a full season. So I think if you're in those deeper leagues and you have the opportunity of getting Chuba Hubbard, I wouldn't mind handcuffing him, and
Oh,
keeping him on the bench.
11% roster. Too low?
I think right now it's too low, and I think it's just because we just learned about this injury.
He's just +6 in the last few hours, so tells you
Yeah,
quite
it's
a
starting
bit.
to go up. Yeah, it's going to go up quite a bit more in the next couple of days because we could wake up tomorrow and it's at almost 30%. So
Yeah, so I would say at least this week he needs to be owned. He needs to be owned in
yeah,
every single league, at least this week. Moving forward, we'll see. I mean, again, soft tissues, Christian McCaffrey, the last 2 years, they've just gone hand in hand. It's been a constant problem. If you're the Christian McCaffrey owner and you have the roster space, I'm not going to begrudge you if you just pick up Chuba Hubbard and just let him sit on your roster, unless something that sexier comes up on waivers. And if that happens, if there is a sexy waiver wire pickup, guess what? You need to be subscribed to the Slump Buster podcast. That way we can tell you all about it and advise you whether or not that is a correct decision. Because we're ultimately trying to advise you to help you win your league. Bust the slump. Hit that like button. Comment below any questions. We're here for you. Your boys, Ju-Ju, Andrew Hagenbaugh, Andrew Hohman. Not here on this recording, but he'll be back next week. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you on the next one, folks.